Welcome back to New Day with cdnws. Today in the video I'm going to be discussing a couple of things. I'm going to be telling you about my mother since it was just her birthday Sunday, and I'm going to be explaining what Ethelene Productions is, and also I have a new and exciting update. So that's what we're going to cover in today's video. I'll tell you a little bit about how William's been doing lately. Well, he's still on sleeping on nights, thank goodness. However, I think every now and then throughout the night he will wake up, be up for a minute, and then go back to sleep. Last night he fell asleep around 10, I think it was, and he woke back up at 3:45 a.m. Stayed up for an hour. Luckily, Dad was in here with him, and he stayed up for an hour and then went right back to sleep. So we don't really know what's going on with him right now. He's got kind of a thing to where he's spotting in his pull-up, so he'll go to the bathroom and his pull-up just a little bit, but in doing that he's going through pull-ups like crazy. So we are really having to make sure that we're stocked up in pull-ups and wipes and that type of thing so we can take care of business down there. So we don't know how uncomfortable he is. We don't know if he's cramping or anything like that. So he's acted typical for his usual self. So I don't think he's during too much pain, because that's the thing about nonverbal autistic people, is you have to study their every move. So he doesn't look like he's in pain. He doesn't look like he's been cramping. But I think he's a tough boy. He's a very, very tough boy. So it's kind of hard to tell. But that's when you rely on your instincts. And my motherly instinct and my husband's fatherly instincts, okay, he probably doesn't feel 100%, but, plus you have to factor in everything else he deals with as well on a daily basis, and not just, what the day brings for him. So, but yeah, so as of right now, he is asleep. I'm kind of hoping it's about 8:40 right now, so I'm kind of hoping he'll wake up here pretty soon, because I do not want him going back on the night schedule, the up all night schedule, because he's a lot more crabby, he's a lot more uncomfortable and that type of thing. So I'm hoping he will just wake up here pretty soon, because like I said, I want him to sleep all night. So a little bit of backstory about my mother, Karen Ethelene Graham. She was born in 1955, and she passed away January 29th of this year. She was married 2 or 3 times. I think it was just twice, though. My gut's telling me 3 times, because that's one thing I kind of wish I would have done, looking back, is just found out more about her history. Because obviously when you're growing up, you don't think about marriages and divorces and health issues and blah, blah, blah. You don't think about this stuff. So anyway, but, she and I were extremely close, attached to the hip growing up. Her first husband's name was George. That quickly ended, I think, and then I think she met my dad, but I think because she ended up marrying my stepdad. But anyway, so her and my dad stayed married for 18 years, in which time they had me, aka their only biological child. From what I know from my mother's stories, I was my parents' miracle child, because my father had reproductive issues, I guess. So I was a miracle child, not even supposed to be here. Hi. My name, obviously, as most people know, is Davina Ethelene. I am named after my father. My father's name is David, and Davina is the feminine form of the name David. And so Ethelene is my grandma's name, Ethelene Richardson, and then obviously my mother's middle name, Karen Ethelene Graham, and now it is my middle name, Davina Ethelene Reed. So throughout the years. Let's see if I can get it out real quick. Trying to show you my bracelet that I just got not too long ago to honor my mother and my grandmother. See if you can see. There we go. Ethelene. This name for me was not easy learning how to spell. It took me years to remember how to spell Ethelene. It's got like 4 E's and extremely long, but eventually I learned how to spell it. So anyway, yes, my mom and dad were married for 18 years, and I was their only child. And growing up, my mother and I were attached at the hip. We literally did everything together. We watched movies together, which was one of my favorite things to do. We went shopping every single time. She went to Walmart to get her a pair of jeans or whatever she needed. She always ended up coming out with something for me. We just did everything together. We had conversations, we had laughs, we had times of celebration, sadness, blah, blah, blah. One thing I remember my mom always telling me was the fact that there was nothing too big or small. I couldn't tell her. We could talk about anything. She wouldn't judge me. She would just help me figure it out if it was a problem. And honestly, that's what I try to instill in my own kids. I have told them repeatedly throughout the years, if there is anything, big or small, I don't care what it is, I don't care how good it is, bad it is, whatever, I want you to come to me and Dad, and we will talk about it, and we will get through it. We're not going to stress you out. We're not going to be like, oh my God, why'd you do that? You know, we will figure it out, because I believe stress doesn't do anything but hurt the situation. You can't stress out trying to figure things out. You gotta figure things out calmly and collectively, and like, okay, you know what, this situation sucks, but this is how we're gonna handle it. This is, you know, these are our options. Because all stress does is make you sick. At least it does me anyway. So my mother instilled in me the fact that I could talk to her about anything and everything. She used to make me clothes all the time. She used to make me outfits. She sewed. She would get patterns from Walmart. She would make me clothes and outfits and costumes. She made me, I don't know, this is going to go way back in the day, so I don't know how many people remember this. But anybody remember Xena, Warrior Princess? I loved that show. She made me the Xena costume. And she even, I wish I had it. I'm going to try not to get emotional during this. She even made me the chakram. I can't remember. I can't believe I still remember that word. Matter of fact, I just remembered that I actually used to have chakram earrings and a necklace. So that was awesome. I really wish I still had that too. But I think what it was is she got the piece of wood, I guess, from Michael's, and in the shape of the chakram, she hand drew the little. I don't know if I can find a picture of it online or not. And I'm kind of new to editing, so I'm going to try to post pictures in here of her and us, her and I, and you know, the chakram I'm talking about, so you guys can see. But if I can find a picture of the chakram, I will definitely show you guys. But she drew the design that was on the chakram. She painted it. I mean, she went all out. She made me, like I said, a Xena costume, a witch costume, which actually is funny because the witch costume I was wearing mine and my husband's first Halloween together, which tells you how young I was when I met Troy. A Pocahontas costume, a pilgrim costume, which I wore almost every Thanksgiving. Costume after costume. I even think, let me see, I'm trying to remember everything. Oh, a Snow White costume. Snow White's my favorite Disney princess, and she made me a Snow White costume. I mean, this lady sewed and made me outfits my entire life. She made me so many clothes that she actually made me a quilt at one time that had a patch from every single piece of material from each outfit she ever made me. And I'm still in the process of trying to get that. I have gotten some things from her death, but not everything I want. So she would make me outfits. I remember one Christmas we bought these sweatshirts or the sweaters from Walmart, and she made us skirts. And I always loved matching my mom. It was awesome. I thought it was the greatest thing in the world to match my mother. So as much as we could, we would match, especially on the holidays. I remember she even paid a lady to French braid our hair, because she knew that once I had my hair French braided, I like to leave it up for a few days so it'd be really curly. So she paid a lady to come and do that for us. I can't remember if it was Christmas or what, but I remember that was actually the first house I ever had, my very first job at the age of 14. So, I mean, when I say my mother and I did everything together, I was her only child. I was the only child she ever had. So, when you have, especially just one child, it's kind of like having your best friend, especially when it's the same gender as you are. I'm sure, knowing the type of mother she was, I'm sure that if she even had had a boy, it would have been the same way, because that's just how much time she and I spent. There was a time in my life when I was homeschooled, and I did much better in homeschooling than I did in grade school because I needed that one-on-one training that I wasn't getting in public school, and she was my teacher. My most fondest memories of her were her making her peanut butter balls at Christmas. My grandmother made fudge from out of this world, her Mississippi mud cake. I miss that Mississippi mud cake. I can't even tell you what went in it, because like I said, when you're a kid, you don't think about ingredients, you just think, dang, that tastes real good. I remember at Christmas time, my grandmother would also package up her fudge in tins, wrap the tins, and that would be like all of her kids' Christmas presents, because everyone loved grandma's fudge that much. Let me try to think what else she did. Let me see things that were specific to her. She also made me. Speaking of clothes, I used to watch Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman. Again, going back in the day, but her show is still on, I think, on certain channels. Reruns, obviously, but she made me the skirt, and then we even went to a Western store and I got my own petticoat. So, but my mother was always very supportive of what I wanted to do, what I wanted to be, how I wanted to think and act. I mean, it was just, my mother was the best. My mother is the exact example of the mother I hope and prayed to be to my own children. I felt so safe with her. I felt so secure. I felt so happy, and like, as long as mom was around, I could do anything, and like the world was perfect. I would always go with my mother everywhere, even when my dad was home. I always chose to go with my mom. So, I guess fast forward to the year 2000. I only had a few boyfriends, and then I met my husband in 2000. Troy and I met online. I searched for, 3 or 4 weeks through different profiles on love@aol.com. Again, going back in the day, because it doesn't even exist anymore. Found him. I didn't email him, actually. My mother wrote the email. And in that email, and I used to have this too, and I wish I did, because, there's a lot of things Troy and I have written each other over years I still had, and I wish I still had. But, my mother wrote that I was ready for marriage. I didn't write that. Matter of fact, when she read it back to me, I'm like, okay, before you send it, I want you to read it back to me, because I want to hear what it says. When she read it back to me, I was like, okay, you think you're ready? You think I'm ready for marriage? I don't know if I am ready for marriage. But she knew that I was ready. This woman knew me better than anybody in this world. And so it's just a really weird transition, because going from a little girl, it's all about your mother, to a teenager developing, to finding your soulmate and not even realizing he's your soulmate, and having your mother write an email for you an email for you that states that you're ready for marriage to your soulmate, and she hadn't even met him yet. It was just words on a computer screen. So that's a very interesting feeling. So, a couple days later, she went with me to meet my husband at Bannister Mall when it was still open. I was sitting at the food court with my mother waiting for Troy to come around the corner. And as God would have it, Troy was on his cell phone talking to his dad as he walked around the corner. I can still remember what Troy was wearing to this day. Black dress shoes, khaki pants, a checkered kind of orange brownish t-shirt with a plaid orange / brown long sleeve collared buttoned up shirt. His hair was spiky, as I've always liked it, and he came around in the corner talking to his dad on his phone. And he said, "Okay, Dad, I think that's her. I think I see her with her mom." Funny thing about that whole conversation with him and I and her was the fact that, number one, I told her, "Okay, listen, when this guy shows up, I want you to let me know if you think he's cute or not. If you think he's cute, I want you to pull my hair like this, put your arm around me real quick, pull my hair, and that way I'll know if you think he's cute." I don't know, obviously, what was going through her mind when she saw him. I was super excited and getting nervous. I was nervous the entire time, but I was getting really nervous and super excited when I finally saw him, come around the corner. She did not pull my hair. However, as I said, my mother knew me so well, and I knew my mother so well, and there's no way in hell my mom did not think that Troy was cute. I'll tell you that now. I think probably when she saw him, she had realized, I just told this dude that my daughter, my only daughter, is ready for marriage. Am I ready for this? Am I ready for her to spend the rest of her life with him? So, with a lot of other emotional things going on that day, it's funny because she and him talked more than he and I did. But as he noticed, when we got to talking about family, instead of sitting like this, like I am right now in this chair, I got up to the table and I was like this, and I was very, very much into the conversation. And even he brought that up too. I can't remember. I can't believe I still remember this 24 years later. But anyway, he's like, okay, he's like, you kind of like, stiff, for lack of better wording, and like, kind of like not really into the conversation until we got to family, and now you're all up in it and everything. Obviously didn't say it exactly like that, but something that I kind of respect. And I said, yes, because family is everything to me. I'm like, as you can see, I'm extremely close to my mom, and I've got step siblings now that I'm extremely close to, which I'll tell you about that because I forgot to tell you about that. So I said, yes, I'm all about family. I said, family's everything to me, and it still is to this day, 24 years later, and 4 kids and a husband later. So after that, he and I can't believe my mother agreed to this, which is another reason why I knew she trusted him. He's like, okay. He's like, well, would you like to come back to Belton with me and meet my family? And granted, this is the first night we've met each other. Like, there was really no dating period. So I'm like, sure, why not? He told me that his parents owned a dry cleaning business, and he had 2 brothers and a sister, and his sister was not local. His sister at that time, I think, lived in Florida. And his brother worked at the dry cleaning shop with his parents, and his other brother was a stay-at-home guy. And so we went to the dry cleaners that his parents owned. I met his parents, and the first thing I said to them was, "Hi, you must be Dad, and hi, you must be Mom." And we all clicked. We all loved each other. I went to his house at that time. After that, we all had dinner together. Well, actually, I think, yeah, we all had dinner together. I met his other brother, Tim, and he played, yeah, because he used to be a musician, so he played his song that did not have a title at the time, which he later named Song for D, which was a huge suggestion by his father. His father and I were attached at the hip. His dad and I, oh my gosh. dad was amazing. He's the male. Was the older version of Troy. So basically, when Troy's 60 years old, I know what he's gonna be like because I knew his dad, and his dad eventually became my dad. So, and mom was always great too. But yeah, a little bit of backstory real quick about my step family. So, as I said, my parents were married for 18 years. Trying to think how long my parents were divorced before my mom met my stepdad. It wasn't too long, but it wasn't too short either. I tell you, going through a divorce for any family, any child is interesting because, I mean, my dad was verbally abusive to my mom. And as close as my mom and I were, obviously I didn't like that. He was never abusive, I remember that much to me, but he was very, very verbally abusive to my mom. And so at the time, I had met my mother's future husband, I had met his kids, we all clicked, but it was different because I believe that your parents are your foundation. And my foundation was no longer stable. And I was getting a new foundation, but a foundation I wasn't familiar with because it was a different man. It was other kids, and it had always, 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 always just been my mom and I. And my dad, obviously, but my dad worked all the time. There were days during my childhood when I remember that I would wake up, dad was already at work. I would go to bed before my dad came home, so I hardly ever saw my dad, which is why it explains why it was always my mom and me. So she marries my stepdad. He has 2 girls and a boy, sisters, and a brother that I always wanted. Michael Dana Jr., my brother. Christina Marie Dana. And Rachel and Dana. And I always told them that no matter what happened between our parents, we would always be siblings, and I still mean that to this day, and they know that. And I know at least my brother is subscribed to my channel, so hello, Mike. I miss you and love you. My siblings and I are not as close as we should be, and I wish we were. We all have kids now, except for my brother. He's in a different state, so I don't believe him and his wife have kids. If they do, I'm sorry. I apologize. But I know my sisters have kids. I have actually worked with Rachel. She used to work at a liquor price chopper, so I used to work with her. I used to work with my other sister too. She actually manages at a McDonald's near here, so I used to work with her as well. Great people to work with. All of them are very good people. My brother's got a good heart. He is always there for me to talk to. My sisters, they're opinionated. They're sweet. But yeah, I do wish I was closer to all of them. Things went down between my mom and I when I got married, and all throughout my childhood that I didn't know until I got married, and so things went down south, unfortunately, for my mom and I, which is, I think, why my stepdad has issues with me. But to make a long story short, that is my mother. As the woman that would have been 69 years old this past Sunday, August 11th. Excuse me, sorry. August 11th, my husband's birthday. August 25th. Lord. Sorry, babe. So that is the story of my mother and how close we were and how much she meant to me. And okay, so Ethelene Productions. Ethelene Productions. So obviously, like I told you, my grandma's name is Ethelene, and my middle name is Ethelene. As I was growing up, my mother would make home videos of me every birthday, every Christmas. Sometimes, especially when I got my hair, the very first time I ever got my hair cut, all of it's on video. Granted, it's VHS videos, so I think there was 10 or 20 videos, which I wish, again, I had. And honestly, if she still has them and my stepdad has them, I want them because they're not going to mean anything to anybody else but me. So if they still exist, if they haven't been thrown away, I want them, even though I probably will never be able to play them anymore or ever again. So since that is the case, I have this channel of my boys. And from time to time, my entire family is on here. I've got 4 boys now. So from time to time, they're all on here, but especially that guy. Morning. He just woke up. So I've got obviously him on here and Christopher on here and my older 2 boys, my husband. So Ethelene Productions is my way of honoring the 2 most important, most beautiful women that made me who I am. My grandma and my mom. Purple was my mother's favorite color. Red is my grandma's favorite color. It's awesome because Christopher loves red. And my grandma is someone I miss every single day. She died in, 2010? And my grandpa, that I love more than life itself, also very close to him, her husband, I think died in 2011. Again, I'll try to post pictures now that I know how to edit a little bit so you know what I'm talking about. I have not been to their grave sites yet. I'm ashamed to admit that, but I have not been to their grave sites yet. But I told Troy when we get a better vehicle, I've got to visit their graves, including my mother's, because she is in the same cemetery. So Ethelene Productions is a tribute to my middle name, to the women that raised me, to the women that made me who I am, to the beautiful women of my childhood, my grandma and my mom. And obviously a tribute to my mom's hard work videotaping me my entire life. And so now I have this channel and now I'm doing the same things. And I often refer back to my videos just to watch my kids grow up and watch past videos I've made and just remember good times. And the cool thing about names in my family is every single person, all of my kids, including myself and my husband, are named after family. So we've got Aiden James. Aiden is named after his grandpa on my husband's side. James Franklin is obviously named after grandpa on my husband's side. William Stanley is named after my grandpa, and Troy has an infant uncle that passed away when he was a baby named Stanley. And Grandpa Stanley Richardson is my grandma Ethelene's husband. So as I said, Grandma and Grandpa Richardson and I were attached at the hip. I was always over their house. Like I can remember their house to this very day. That's how much I was over there. I can tell you where every single thing was. And then Christopher David is named after my husband, his dad, my dad, David. So Christopher's grandpa on my side, and Troy's brother, David. So, and also I forgot, Jimmy's also named after my cousin Jimmy, which is a former Navy SEAL / CIA guy. Used to be in the military, obviously. Hang on 1 second. William is wanting his phone. There you go, buddy. So there are the names in the family. Names are very important to me because it was really important to me that we named our children after important people in the family that we were really close to and everything. Troy is actually named after a couple people too. I think they are mainly just friends of the family and that I never knew obviously, but his mom told me that they're people that are friends of the family that I think used to help take care of Troy. And if that information is slightly off, I'm sorry, babe, but you can always correct me in the comments, honey, if you want to. My exciting news and updates. I just looked yesterday and I found out that we are get closer here. 15 people away from 100 subscribers. I am at actually hang on. I don't know why I said 15, because I think it's 95. Shows you how tired I am. I've been working a lot, and it's been, well, I haven't really necessarily been working a lot, but it's been very, very hot, and anybody that works in hot heat knows that it takes a toll on you. So, excuse me, I don't know why I said 15. 5 subscribers away from 100. So, I would very much like to get there, and I know it's possible. I wanted to make that goal around my year mark. Didn't do it. It's okay. But if you share this video, if you like and subscribe, which I hope you do, and, you know, we just bring autism awareness to everyone, that, you know, because I think everyone should know about this, so they know how to treat people, they know about the conditions, and that type of thing. But yeah, I am extremely, extremely close to making my goal, because obviously my plans are to grow this channel and to spread autism awareness and to, you know, kind of let people in on our daily lives and knowing how it is and everything. So, with that, I know this has been a long video and I apologize, but there was a couple things I wanted to talk about and explain, and given how close my mother and I were, I wanted to honor her by letting people know about my childhood and the kind of mom she was and the kind of influence she was on me. And also tell you a little bit about my grandma, because she was a very, very important person in my life as well. So with that, like I said, I will try to do my best with editing so you guys can see what I'm talking about with the pictures and things like that. I've really been enjoying my editing software, so I'm hoping I can continue to like it. So, but anyway, please like and subscribe, ring that notification bell so you don't miss any uploads, and we will see you next time. There is talk, he doesn't exactly know this yet because I just started the conversation yesterday with this lady, but there is talk about the pumpkin patch this year, and if he watches this video, he'll know that. So yes, Christopher, you've already been talking about it, buddy, and so has a friend of mine. So, we're making a goal to go. We're making a goal to go to the pumpkin patch this year again, and obviously that will be, the videos will be uploaded. I am trying to get things started, budgeting and ideas for Christmas, because they've cut hours at work, so we're gonna have to get Christmas done strategically somehow. And his birthday is coming up. His birthday is on the 26th of September. He will be 11, and mine is the 14th, and I am getting to the point where I'm getting too old. But no, I'll be 43. So my husband just turned 46. Happy late birthday, baby. So yeah, like and subscribe and all that good stuff, and we will see you guys in the next video. God's peace.
Hand-me-downs. I know that. And I see your